Hello, everybody. Welcome to the weekly cooking demo from the Plant Life Canada. It's Christine, if you hadn't guessed. I think there's quite a few people logged in. All my regulars are here, which is awesome. I love it. I love seeing everybody log in every week. Makes me feel happy. So when I posted, everyone's chatting. So when I posted, I put that I'm making a Canadian classic. So I wonder if anybody guessed what it was, and not my boyfriend can't guess because he knows what we're making. So let's see if you guys can guess what I'm making. Canadian classic. Whoa, my dad got it right. Poutine. Yay! Poutine. So it kind of sounds weird that I'm making poutine, but the focus of this video is to make a really good and easy gravy. And if you've watched the last couple of videos I've made, I'm also trying to reduce the oil in my diet and, watch my calorie intake and stuff like that. So this recipe is also good for that because that's what I'm doing right now. And I have a cool new vegan cheese product that I'm going to try out that we decided to buy. So I'm really excited to show you guys all of that stuff. But most of all, I'm excited to eat the poutine at the end. So let's get started. So for the poutine gravy, we're basic ingredients: onions, garlic, mushrooms, and spices. And then obviously veggie stock to make up the rest of it, and a thickener. So I'm going to walk you through that. And I already have some onions and garlic cooking because you want to get the onions and garlic really soft because you don't want like a giant chunk of like raw onion in your gravy. So I will show you what I already have going, and then I'll explain all the spices and how to do the thickener and stuff like that. So let's go down here and check it out. All right, so these are my onions I already have going. And so I have a good nonstick pan, but it still kind of sticks. So if you're trying to get into oil-free cooking, what I always do is I have like a cup of water, or I have veggie stock waiting to go, and all you have to do is just splash a little bit as you cook, and it will loosen up anything that you're cooking. So there's a good oil-free cooking tip. So in this pan, I have a large onion chopped up pretty small, and I have 2 giant cloves of garlic. So you can put it as much as you want, but the idea is to get these onions really soft. If you have time to let them caramelize, that would taste even better. So that's what we have here. And then I have some cremini mushrooms. So those are the small brown ones. And my cousin Dana, I don't know if she's here, but she told me that the small brown onions that you buy that are creminis are actually baby portobello mushrooms. So that's kind of interesting. So you do get a good flavor. And I probably have about 15 mushrooms here. I'm only cooking for 2, so that's what's happening there. So we're going to add those in. And I'm going to put this heat right up. So then basically we're going to cook this until the mushrooms get nice and soft. But I like big chunks of mushrooms in anything. But if you don't like mushrooms, what you could do is chop them super, super small. So, oh, my cousin Dana is there. Love to see her. So we're going to cook these. And then to make it like a really nice savory gravy flavor, we're going to add some seasoning. So I am going to put a little bit of salt in here. And I like lots of black pepper, but you might want to put a little bit of black pepper and then test it out at the end. Great. And then in here, so I hope the light is okay. So in here I have a little bit of red pepper flakes to give it like a little bit of a bite. And then I have some marjoram here. And I have ground thyme and sage. So that's going to give it like a really great gravy flavor. And if you are maybe watching from the US, this is an awesome idea for gravy for your Thanksgiving. This can go on poutine, it can go on mashed potatoes, it could go on some Gardein, chicken breast pieces. You can put gravy on pretty much anything. So we're going to put that in there. And that is probably 1/4 to 1/2 of a teaspoon of each. If you have the ground spices, you want to be careful how much you put in because they're going to be more potent. So, oh my God, that smells so good. So this is super simple. So we're gonna let this cook, and I'm gonna put a little bit more of our water in here just to do that. So we'll keep adding that if it gets stuck. So there is that. And now, back up here, I'm gonna show you how to prepare the potatoes. And one thing I wanted to tell everybody, I'm not a nutritionist or anything, but I'm learning a lot about this stuff over the years. And a lot of people sort of like hate potatoes, demonize potatoes. They think they're so bad for you, but if you get like a colored flesh potato, this is a yellow potato or sweet potato, they have tons of nutrition in them. And this amount of potatoes, this is raw, so almost a full bowl is only 110 calories. So it's a pretty good snack if you want something to eat and you love potatoes. So a couple of tips when you're making French fries, if you want to get them crispy, is to cut the potatoes and soak them in water and rinse them out twice. So all the starch will come off of that, and then they won't get sort of like gooey coated or whatever it is. They'll be a lot crisper because we've cleaned that starch off. And so that's what I have here. And another tip, so last week we made the chickpea faux chicken nuggets, and we kept our aquafaba, which is the water out of the can. You can also coat your veggies or potatoes to make them crispier. So that is what I'm going to show you. I also usually, and don't kill me, I usually microwave my potatoes first before I bake them or put them in the air fryer, just to save the time, and then you don't get them super well done on the outside and not well done on the inside. So I do microwave them for a few minutes first. So I've already done that. So let's go ahead and season and prepare these potatoes for baking. Awesome. So this is the chickpea water, and we've got our potatoes, which now I've rinsed them. They are dry because if you leave them wet and then you try to put the chickpea water on, the chickpea water is not going to stick to them because the water is there. So you want to make sure your potatoes are microwaved, then dried, and then chickpea water. So we're only going to put, like, this amount is small, so we're just going to do like a little splash just to coat them. So I probably, let's do a quick, my bowl is way too small, so I'll use my mushroom bowl. So you can see that they're just coated a little bit, but we haven't like soaked the bowl with this chickpea water. So do that first. And then I'm going to do some salt and pepper. And the mushrooms are getting dry here, so we're going to add some of our water. Let it keep cooking. I love this tripod for the camera movement. So now we have our salt and pepper, our chickpea water, and then in here is a mix of stuff. So I've got classic nutritional yeast. I've got onion powder, garlic powder, and if you can see the little red in there is smoked paprika. And smoked paprika is like one of my new favorite seasonings. It goes well on everything. It makes everything taste delicious. So we're gonna get rid of those chunks. We're gonna put them over the French fries. This is maybe a little bit much for this amount of French fries, but they'll taste extra good. And then you want to coat them. So now they've got the chickpea water, which will crisp up, and we've got our amazing flavorings and our dirty hands. And then what I did, I put mine in the air fryer. So microwave them for 5 minutes, season them, and then I had them in the air fryer at 380 degrees, I should say. And then I did 8 minutes and then 8 minutes. So that's going to depend on how thick you cut them, but that's a good sort of amount of time to cook them. And then it's only 16 minutes. If you didn't microwave them first, it would probably take at least double that. So that's why I microwave them, because I like quick and I like easy. So that's how you season them. And when you get them out of the air fryer, they taste good just on their own. So this is how they end up looking. So that they look very crispy. They're very crispy fries, and they have that seasoning all over them. Taste test. So that is how I do my quick air fryer fries. So we're not deep frying these. You can also bake them in the oven if you like, but the seasonings are just amazing on them. So back to our gravy. So you can see that the mushrooms are nice and wilted and our onions are super cooked down. They're nice and soft. So I was cooking them for less than 10 minutes before I started the show. And now the mushrooms don't take very long at all. So to thicken the gravy, I'm going to actually use, what is this? Oh my gosh, I'm having a brain fart. So this is whole wheat flour. So I have 2 tablespoons in here. And some recipes will tell you can just sprinkle it on, but I'm always kind of worried about the flour getting clumpy and then having the gravy be thick and nasty, right? So what you can do is you can actually put a bit of your stock in there. We're going to put some in here because that is cooking like crazy. And then just mix this into a slurry inside this little jar here. So this is a little bit difficult in the tiny jar, but basically you're going to get a slurry out of this. It's taking a while, and you might need to add, you don't want it to be a paste, you want it to be like a thick liquid. You don't want it to end up like dough. You definitely want to mix this until it is an actual slurry. And again, I think I'm going to do here, and I'm going to get this in this bowl so that I can stir it. There we go. So now you've got a liquid slurry that doesn't have chunks in it, and it's not a paste. So you really want it to be nice and liquidy. But now when you pour this in, it won't get all chunky and make your gravy chunky. I'm sure it wouldn't be that bad, just have a little chunk of flour in your mouth, but you want to have something nice. And I cannot tell you how delicious this smells right now. It's like making my mouth water. Okay, so we have our flour slurry. So we're going to dump that really slowly into here. Again, we don't want it to chunk up. We want it to thicken the gravy. And you can see already it is getting super thick. So once it's in there, so now we have our thickener. We don't want it to turn into dough again. We want it to be nice and thick. So we're going to slowly add this water. So now it's going to depend on like how thick you really want your gravy to be. So some people like a really nice and thick one. Some people like a thin sort of au jus kind of gravy. So you have to decide what you like, but that flour will thicken it up a lot. So you can see from not so many mushrooms and onions, we have now a giant container of gravy. So we're going to let that cook a little bit so that it thickens more. And I might turn the heat down a little for the rest of this. And then I'm going to actually give it a quick taste test and see if we need any more seasonings or salt and pepper. So actually, that's pretty good. I really get the pepper out of that, and I'm getting a little bite out of the red pepper flakes. So I think I'm happy with that. So now I'll show you guys. We'll let that cook down a little bit, but I wanted to show you camera angles. So I wanted to show you the cheese that we got. And Frank got this. I've seen the ads all over the place, but I haven't tried it yet. I believe they're only based in Canada, so I apologize for anyone watching from somewhere else. And so this is a brand called Veggie cheese. And they do a whole bunch of different stuff, but they actually do a curd cheese, which is classic for poutine. And this does have oil in it, but it's made with tofu, so the nutrition stats are pretty good. You get 8 pieces for 70 calories, and they're huge pieces. So it's so cool, and the texture is really cool. So let's see if I can get that to focus. What? Look at that. So you have this cool cheese, and it tastes I was surprised at the taste. So the taste is kind of bland, but it's nice and salty and the texture is there. And from what I can remember from curd cheese, it was just salt. But they're so delicious and they have that sort of bite that the curd cheese would have in your poutine. So this stuff is exciting. All right. So let's put our poutine together so I can eat it. Right, so I have my serving of my potatoes here. I'm gonna get rid of some of this stuff. So then I'm gonna put my 8 pieces on here, or 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that, you know, if you're counting your portion. And I find the pieces like a bit big. So last time we had it, I kind of broke it down. So there is that, and I have my dirty hands again. And we're gonna need a fork because you can't eat poutine with your hands or you'll probably get burnt. And then look at this. So we got our thick onions in there and we have our amazing, amazing gravy. And this, if you are someone else who is maybe watching their calorie intake, this whole batch of gravy is less than 200 calories. So I am not worried about that. And you know what? I'm just going to wing it and dump it and see what happens. Oh my gosh. I'm probably making a huge mess. So look at this. Look how amazing that looks. And so we've made this pretty much with no oil. We've made it very easy, very quick. Something that you can have this like delicious, indulgent treat. Guilt-free. So this is amazing. And you can see that this cheese kind of starts breaking apart and melting. So amazing. And poutine though is one of those things that like probably doesn't look very nice when you look at it, but it's so delicious. So let's try it. Oh my gosh. So I have a nice big bite here with the mushrooms. Oh, and I lost my cheese. There we go. And we have our mushrooms and gravy and fry. Let's try it. So good. This is so good. It's so good. The creaminess of the cheese is really good. And you could even, I've made it before with just, you know, like the Daiya cheese shreds. Any kind of cheese you want, you can cut it into little slices. Or if you have your chickpea water left over, you can make the liquid cheese sauce, the cheddar cheese or nacho sauce, and you could use that. That's a different style of poutine. There's fights between Canadians about which one is right and which one is wrong, but you could also do that and then put that on it with the gravy. So again, big juicy bite. So try this gravy if you can get a hold of it. The cheese from Veg Cheese is worth a try. But again, any kind of vegan cheese you can find or make at home probably tastes delicious. Or just fries and gravy is always delicious. So I hope you guys have had fun in the chats. I didn't look at it at all. And I hope this was a really good staple kind of gravy recipe that you can use in a lot of different dishes. I like that as well, being able to use stuff week after week. So last week we did our chickpea nuggets. We saved our chickpea water. We're using it again this week. We could make a cheese sauce with it to pour on some broccoli tomorrow for dinner and put the gravy on the broccoli as well. So you want to find good recipes that you can use for multiple different days. So once again, thank you for joining me every week. The support is much appreciated. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do that now. You can click below. If you hit the notification button and I do another live session, you'll get notified as soon as I post it. And then you can always watch this video again for the recipe later on YouTube. It'll always be on my page under live streams, and I'll edit the video to make sure I put detailed instructions in the recipe. But that is it. I hope you learned something today, some tips on cooking, and I hope you enjoy this gravy if you make it. So thank you so much again, and I'll see you next week. Bye.